Hello, Morongo Basin and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Friday, February 3rd, 2023. The Morongo Valley Community Services District Board of Directors held a special meeting last night over Zoom. Assignment reporter Gabriel Hart was in attendance and wrote this recap for us today. Last night's special meeting had an overwhelming turnout of 95 impassioned attendees to weigh in on two items on the agenda that quickly turned convoluted and collectively hostile due to various unsubstantiated rumors. Beginning with 21 Morongo Valley residents speaking during the public comment, attendees lovingly, though unnecessarily, defended Fire Chief James Brakebill for his work in the community, claiming his job was being threatened by board members under assumptions he was going to be fired, likely due to attendees misunderstanding his performance evaluation in closed session, which was an agenda item. Board members assured attendees Brakebill was never in any danger of losing his job or had concerns of his performance and praised him repeatedly and with solidarity. To soothe the misinformed ire of attendees, Board President Jennifer Henning decided to spoil the surprise when she announced Brakebill would in fact be receiving a proclamation of appreciation in weeks to come. Board members, however, voiced concerns about Brakebill's choosing to wait until the public could weigh in further before he signed the agreement for new legal counsel under his other role of general manager, for fear he would be costing the district hundreds of dollars. Brakebill admitted he felt uncomfortable, but assured attendees he wanted to eventually sign with more time and consideration. Majority board members rememorialized their vote in favor of new legal counsel with Best and Krieger. Attendees erupted repeatedly regarding the other agenda item discussed, where any agreement, document, or matter of business that has been approved by the MVCSD Board of Directors may be executed by either the General Manager or the Board of Directors President. Even though this is within board members' legal right, attendees, many of whom admitted to have never attended a meeting previously, viewed it as, quote, illegal and, quote, a takeover. Calm was briefly restored after a short break when the board members, under attack from attendees, engaged with queries from those who would speak calmly, clearly, and without interruption, which lasted mere minutes before attendees would flare up again, causing Brakebill to end the meeting. A man in a wheelchair suffered major injuries after being struck by an SUV while in a crosswalk in 29 Palms. The sheriff's office reports that yesterday at 7:15 a.m., a 49-year-old man in a wheelchair from 29 Palms was using a crosswalk at the intersection of Highway 62 and Adobe Road when he was struck by an eastbound Dodge Journey turning right onto Adobe Road. Deputies say that the victim was in a marked crosswalk at the intersection. He suffered major but non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to High Desert Medical Center via an ambulance. The driver of the Dodge remained at the scene, and drugs and alcohol did not appear to be a factor in the collision. The Morongo Basin is going to see a lot of visitors in the next 10 days. Robert Hayden wheelies in with this story.
As high desert dwellers have certainly noticed, the roads heading towards Johnson Valley are jam-packed as King of the Hammers picks up steam. Expect even more visitors, traffic, and off-roaders this weekend as the Johnson Valley area continues to bring off-roaders and fans from all over the world. King of the Hammers is one of the largest off-road events of its kind. Last year, over 80,000 people came to the high desert for the 10-day event. The Johnson Valley Shared Use Area is located north of Joshua Tree out on Old Woman Springs Road, and the 10-day event will see increased traffic on Highway 62 near that intersection, as well as heavy traffic on the two-lane road that leads to Johnson Valley, Soggy Dry Lake, and other popular camping and off-roading areas. Increased traffic won't be isolated to the roads, however, as off-road fans are free to continue to use the public lanes for OHV activities during the races. Sunfair Dry Lake usually sees an uptick in campers and off-roaders, and both weekends surrounding the races will most likely see busier grocery stores and gas stations as visitors stock up. The official event begins this weekend and continues until February 12th. Reporting for Z107.7 News, this is Robert Hayden.
Many retailers throughout Morongo Basin have grown accustomed to a boost each February as thousands of off-road racers and fans descend on Johnson Valley for the King of the Hammers competition. One retailer very close to the big event hopes to capitalize on it by extending hours and offering hard-to-find items. Reporter Mike Lipsitz tells us where to find the bargains and when.
Volunteers at Lander's Thrift Store have been busy cleaning, stocking, and organizing for the hordes expected to attend King of the Hammers. And now that the shelves are ready, the doors will stay open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day until the last race, February 12th. Desert rats and treasure seekers, bring your cash and credit cards to pick up gently used items from blankets and bicycles to bassinets and board games, all at bargain basement prices. All proceeds support Landers Community Association. Landers Thrift Store is off Highway 247 on Ritchie Road, just east of Landers Post Office. Reporting for Z107.7 News, this is Mike Lipsitz.
When is a craft fair not a craft fair? When it is the 29 Palms Historical Society's Not a Craft Fair Art Affair. The event, which will be held at the Old Schoolhouse Museum and features 17 local artists and makers, each selling their own artwork. Expect to see work made from metal, fabric, and everything in between. The event is tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Old Schoolhouse Museum, located at 6760 29 Palms Highway in 29 Palms. A community breakfast will be served at Copper Mountain Mesa Community Center tomorrow morning. Part of the community center's first Saturday breakfast, the all-volunteer staff will be serving traditional breakfast favorites and locally roasted coffee from Desert Rat Roasters for $12 per person. The breakfast will be from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and the Copper Mountain Mesa Community Center is located at 65336 Winters Road in North Joshua Tree. Yucca Valley's beloved Cactus Wren Book Exchange will be closing the last chapter of its 2-decade-long story on February 7th, where all books will be half off in the meantime for its massive sale of stock. Assignment reporter Gabriel Hart spoke with the owners, Joe Decateau and his wife, Leanne Abbott, about their 22-year legacy, their feelings about their building being sold, and what they plan to do after their doors close for good. Here again is Gabriel Hart.
22 years ago, in September of 2001, husband and wife Joe Decateau and Leanne Abbott moved from San Clemente to Yucca Valley, not only to escape the hustle and bustle of a rapidly developing Orange County, but to follow Decateau's dream of owning his own bookstore. Easing into the location of the old Baco's Book Exchange, whose owner's health troubles left her with the decision to close the 18-year-old business, Decateau and Abbott took over the storefront and remodeled it to their own Cactus Wren, keeping the Book Exchange title as a nod to the neighborhood's previous literary hub and their continuum of that spirit. "A town isn't a town without a bookstore," Abbott tells me, quoting famous genre author Neil Gaiman. And in the wake of Sagebrush Books closing last year after the building was sold, Cactus Wren Book Exchange faces the same fate when they close in February, making room for another dreamer to open a high-end furniture store in their place, who left them a 60-day or quit eviction notice and the town of Yucca Valley with no bookstore.
And so we looked around town to find a place to move, but since Angel View has been so forgiving on the rent, so the rents in town were, for anything that we could move into, was too expensive.
Oh, my customers are devastated. Most of them are more upset than I am, because it's just, I just look at it as it's probably time to do something else.
However, all hope isn't lost for the Morongo Basin book lover, with Space Cowboy Books in Joshua Tree and Raven Books in 29 Palms. But for Yucca Valley residents, the convenience of a local bookstore will now require a bit of travel. Yet once you've reached these destinations, our big sky is the limit for your imagination. Reporting for Z107.7, this is assignment reporter Gabriel Hart.
And finally, the Yucca Valley Chamber of Commerce announced the theme of this year's Grubstake Days 2023 event, as well as the Grand Marshal. The Chamber Board of Directors has selected Old Timers as the parade theme for Grubstake Days and have invited the Morongo Basin Historical Society to be the Grand Marshal. The event will be held on Memorial Day weekend, and there will be a kickoff mixer on May 25th. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. More Morongo Basin residents get their local news from Z107.7 than any other source. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm Jeff Harmatz.